Last month, a single heat wave killed nearly 1,000 people in France in just 3 days. Most of them were over 65. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. Most didn't die outside. They died at home, sitting in a chair with a fan running just a few feet away, doing exactly what they had done every summer of their lives. And they had no idea they were in danger. Right now, as you're watching this, millions of people are sitting in heat that could quietly overwhelm their body, not because they're weak, but because something inside the body changes after 60, and no one warns you when it starts. I'm Dr. William. I've spent over 30 years caring for patients just like you, and I can tell you this with complete certainty. Heat is not just an outdoor problem. It's not just for construction workers or athletes. Some of the most dangerous heat happens silently in your own living room, and it catches people off guard because they feel fine. Today, I'm going to show you 5 common mistakes that turn normal hot weather into a medical emergency. A few of these you may be doing right now, thinking they're helping you stay cool, but they're not. In fact, they may be putting you at risk. Stay with me, because even getting one of these wrong is enough to send people to the emergency room. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do instead, starting today. Now, before we go further, you need to understand one simple thing. Because once you understand this, every mistake will suddenly make sense. Your body has its own cooling system. It's actually very clever. When you get too warm, your heart pushes more blood towards your skin so heat can escape, and you begin to sweat. As that sweat evaporates, it carries heat away from your body. For most of your life, this system works so well, you never even think about it. But here's what changes, quietly, gradually, somewhere after 60. That system starts to weaken. Not all at once, but enough to matter. You sweat less and later than you used to, so your body loses one of its main ways to cool down. Your sense of thirst becomes weaker, so you don't feel the warning signs as clearly, and your heart has to work harder to push blood to the skin, especially if you already have high blood pressure or heart conditions. None of this means you're unhealthy. It happens to strong, active, independent people. It's simply biology. But almost no one tells you it's happening, and that's what makes it dangerous. Now there's one more factor that quietly decides how risky a hot day really is, and most people completely ignore it. It's not just temperature, it's humidity. Because your body doesn't cool from sweat alone. It cools when that sweat evaporates. But when the air is already full of moisture, that sweat has nowhere to go. It just sits on your skin. That's why 90 degrees in dry air feels completely different from 90 degrees in humid air. One drains you slowly, the other overwhelms you. This is why weather reports use something called the heat index. That's the number your body actually feels, and that's the number you should pay attention to. So before a hot day, check it, and turn on heat alerts on your phone, because the worst days are the ones that catch you by surprise. Now keep one simple question in your mind as we go through this. Is this helping your body release heat or quietly trapping it inside? Because every mistake comes down to that. Let's start with the first one, and this one surprises almost everyone. The first mistake, it's trusting a fan to keep you safe. I know, it feels like the obvious solution. Air moving across your skin feels cooler, comforting, familiar, and for mild heat, it does help. But there's a point where a fan stops helping and starts hurting you. And this is where people get caught. Once the temperature climbs into the mid-90s, the air itself becomes hotter than your skin. Now, instead of removing heat, the fan is blowing hot air onto your body, slowly pushing your temperature higher. But here's the dangerous part. It still feels like it's helping. That breeze tricks you. So you sit there, feeling okay, while your body is quietly overheating. This is exactly why so many people are found in a warm room with a fan still running. They didn't do anything wrong. They did what always worked. They just didn't know it stops working past a certain point. So here's what you do instead. When heat becomes serious, a fan alone is not enough. The single most powerful protection is air conditioning. Even a few hours a day can dramatically reduce your risk. If you have it, use it. And don't worry about the electricity bill on extreme days. This is your health. If you don't have air conditioning, go somewhere that does. A mall, a library, a friend's house. Even a few hours can reset your body. Now, if you are using a fan, make it work better. Add moisture, a damp cloth on your neck, a light mist of water, or a cool shower. Because moving air over dry skin does very little. But moving air over damp skin can actually cool you. And here's something simple but powerful. A cool shower can lower your body temperature faster than a fan, and even faster than drinking cold water. On the hottest days, that alone can make a huge difference. Now, the second mistake is one most people never even think about, and it may apply to you more than you realize. Now, the second mistake is the one I wish more people understood, because you can't see it, and most people never connect it to heat at all. It's your medications. If you're over 60, there's a good chance you take at least one prescription every day, and several of the most common ones quietly interfere with your body's ability to stay cool. Let me explain, because this matters more than most people realize. Some medications are designed to remove fluid from your body. These are called diuretics, often used for blood pressure or swelling. They do their job well, but in hot weather, you're already losing fluid through sweat. So now you're losing it from two directions, and that can push you into dehydration faster than you expect. Sometimes before you even feel thirsty. Then there are beta blockers, another very common group. These can slow your heart's ability to push blood toward your skin, which is exactly what your body needs to release heat. Some can also reduce sweating. So now two of your main cooling tools are working less effectively. And then there's a group called anticholinergics. You'll find these in some bladder medications, certain antidepressants, even some over-the-counter sleep aids and allergy pills. These can directly reduce your ability to sweat. And remember, sweat is one of your body's main cooling systems. So if sweating is reduced, heat stays trapped inside. Now listen carefully, because this is the most important part of this section. Do not stop taking your medication on your own, not because of heat, not because of this video. Stopping suddenly can be far more dangerous than the heat itself. Instead, you plan around it. If you take any of these medications, you simply need to be more careful on hot days, more aware, more proactive, more prepared. And here's one of the smartest things you can do this summer. Before the next heat wave, call your doctor or pharmacist and ask one simple question. Do any of my medications affect how I handle heat? And is there anything I should adjust on very hot days? That small conversation can protect you in ways most people never think about. Now, before we move to the third mistake, let me ask you something simple. How hot has it been where you live this week? And how old are you? Just drop it in the comments. I read them, and it helps me make these videos more useful for you. All right, let's go to mistake number 3, and this one is incredibly common. The third mistake is waiting until you feel thirsty to drink water. For most of your life, that worked perfectly. You felt thirsty, you drank water, and everything stayed balanced. But after 60, that signal becomes weaker. Your body doesn't alert you the same way anymore. So you can be low on fluids without realizing it. Now add heat to the picture. You're sweating more, losing fluids faster, and still not feeling thirsty. So, dehydration builds quietly, and by the time you finally feel it, you're already behind. And catching up in the heat is much harder than staying ahead. Dehydration doesn't just make you uncomfortable. It thickens your blood. It lowers your blood pressure. It strains your heart and your kidneys. It makes dizziness more likely and increases the risk of falls. So here's the shift you need to make. Don't wait for thirst. Drink on a schedule, even if you don't feel like it. Keep water within reach and take small sips throughout the day, not large amounts all at once. A simple guide for most people is a glass of water every hour or so during hot weather, more if you're sweating. And here's an easy way to check if you're doing enough. Look at your urine. If it's pale, like light straw, you're doing well. If it's dark, you need more fluids. Now, one important note. If your doctor has told you to limit fluids because of heart or kidney conditions, then follow your doctor's advice first, always. But for most people, steady hydration is one of the simplest ways to stay safe. And there's one more thing many people overlook. If you're sweating for long periods, you're not just losing water, you're losing minerals too. Salt, electrolytes. So in those moments, plain water alone may not be enough. A light electrolyte drink, a bit of juice, or even a small salty snack can help keep your body balanced. And just as important, be careful with alcohol and caffeine in the heat, because both can pull fluid out of your body. So that afternoon coffee or evening drink may be working against you without you realizing it. Now, the fourth mistake is the one behind most heat-related deaths, and it's not what people expect. It's trusting how you feel, believing, if I feel okay, I must be okay. But remember what we said earlier, that internal warning system becomes less reliable with age. Your home can slowly heat up, degree by degree, and you adjust to it without noticing. You feel a little warm, a bit tired, maybe slightly foggy, and you tell yourself, I'm fine. But the room around you may already be too hot for your body to handle. This is why so many people get into trouble indoors, not outside, inside, where it feels safe. Now here's the simple shift that can save your life. Don't trust the feeling. Trust a number. Get a small thermometer and keep it where you can see it. If the room temperature starts pushing into the mid-80s and continues rising, that's your signal. Not later, not when you feel worse, right then. That's when you move to a cooler place. And there are a few simple things you can do to keep your home from heating up in the first place. Close curtains and blinds during the day, especially on the sunny side, because sunlight can turn a room into an oven. Stay on the lowest level of your home, because heat rises, and upper floors can be several degrees hotter. And plan your day around the heat. If you need to go out, go early in the morning or later in the evening. Avoid the midday heat between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And most importantly, don't go through a heat wave alone. Set up a simple check-in system. A neighbor, a friend, a family member. someone who checks on you every day, and someone you check on too, because sometimes the person in danger doesn't realize it, but someone else will, and that can make all the difference. In fact, in a moment, I'm going to tell you about someone who survived because of one simple check-in, and what happened to him explains the final mistake you must never ignore. Now let me tell you about Frank. Frank is not one person. He's a combination of many patients I've seen over the years, which means everything I'm about to tell you happens more often than you think. Frank was 78, lived alone, sharp-minded, independent, the kind of person who takes pride in taking care of himself. He took a water pill and a beta blocker for his blood pressure, both doing exactly what they were supposed to do. And like many people his age, Frank had lived most of his life without air conditioning, so he didn't trust it. On hot days, he kept it off to save money. Instead, he opened a window, turned on a fan, and went about his day. And here's the dangerous part. Frank did not feel like he was in danger. He felt a little warm, a little tired, maybe slightly off, but nothing alarming, nothing that told him something is wrong. What he couldn't feel was everything stacking against him. The heat in the room, the fan blowing warm air, the fluid loss from his medication, the reduced sweating, the extra strain on his heart, all of it building quietly inside his body. And the alarm system that should have warned him wasn't loud enough anymore. So he didn't call anyone, because from the inside, he still felt fine. Until he wasn't. That afternoon, a neighbor stopped by, just to check in. Something simple, something most people don't think twice about. Frank didn't answer the door the way he usually did. And when she found him, he was sitting in his chair, awake, but confused, mumbling, not making sense. His skin hot, dry. That moment is the line between danger and emergency. And thankfully, she knew it. She didn't hesitate. She called 911 immediately. While she waited, she did something that saved his life. She started cooling him down. Cold, wet cloths on his neck, under his arms, anywhere she could. The paramedics arrived, continued cooling him on the way. And Frank survived. He spent 2 days in the hospital, and his doctor told his family something very direct. If help had come even 1 hour later, he likely would not have made it. Today, Frank is doing well, but one thing changed. On hot days, he turns on the air conditioning. No debate, no hesitation, and his neighbor still checks on him. He survived because one person recognized one sign at the right moment. And that brings us to the fifth mistake, the most important one of all, not knowing when heat becomes a true emergency. Because there is a difference between being overheated and being in real danger, and knowing that difference can save a life. There are 2 stages. The first is heat exhaustion. This is your body warning you, and if you act quickly, it can be reversed. Here's what to look for: heavy sweating, cool, clammy skin, muscle cramps, weakness, dizziness, nausea, a fast but weak pulse. If you notice these signs, stop immediately. Move to a cool place. Sit or lie down. Loosen your clothing. Sip cool water slowly, and use cool, wet cloths on your skin, especially your neck, your armpits, and your groin. These are areas where large blood vessels are close to the surface, and cooling them helps lower your body temperature faster. If you act here, most people recover. But if it's missed or ignored, it can quickly become something far more dangerous. The second stage is heat stroke, and this is a medical emergency. This is when the body can no longer cool itself and the internal temperature rises to dangerous levels. Here are the signs you must never ignore: confusion, slurred speech, strange behavior, not making sense, skin that becomes hot and often dry because sweating has stopped, a strong, rapid pulse, a severe headache, fainting, or loss of consciousness. That confusion is the most important warning sign because families often mistake it for tiredness or age. It's not. It's the brain being affected by heat, and at this stage, every minute matters. If you ever see these signs in yourself or someone else, call emergency services immediately. Do not wait. While help is on the way, start cooling the person right away. Move them to a cooler place. Use cold water, wet cloths, ice packs on the neck, under the arms, and around the groin. Cool them as quickly as possible. But there is one important thing to remember. If the person is confused, drowsy, or unconscious, do not try to give them water. They can choke, and that creates another emergency. Focus on cooling from the outside and let medical professionals handle the rest. Now let's bring this all together. 5 simple things that can make the difference between safety and serious danger. 1. Don't rely on a fan alone in extreme heat. Above the mid-90s, it can actually make things worse. Use air conditioning whenever possible. 2. Be aware of your medications. Some of them reduce your body's ability to handle heat. Never stop them on your own, but plan around them. 3. Don't wait for thirst. Drink regularly throughout the day, even if you don't feel like it. 4. Don't trust how you feel. Trust the temperature. And make sure someone checks on you during heat waves. 5. Know the warning signs of heat stroke, especially confusion, because that's often the first sign something is seriously wrong. None of this is complicated. None of it is expensive. But every one of these steps can save a life. Maybe yours, maybe someone you love. So, before you go, do one simple thing. Share this video with at least one person over 60, a parent, a neighbor, a friend, because most people don't know this until it's too late. And if this helped you, subscribe so I can keep giving you simple, practical ways to stay strong, stay independent, and stay safe. Take care of yourself, and please check on someone today.